So tired, and welcome to another episode of the Going Over podcast. It is one of your hosts, your neighborhood friendly coach, trainer, promoter, and 43-year-old professional wrestler, Zack Primetime Reeb, Badow Baboon, joined alongside my podcast partner, the 7-foot wrecking ball, Paul Isadora. And Paul, I just wanted to state real quick before I ask you how you're doing. I just want to say this. And if it bothers anybody, I'm so sorry. But if you think it's okay to murder anybody unrespectfully, ladies and gentlemen, how you doing today, Paul?
Oh, I'm doing good, man. Just a long couple days, man. You know, I got up at 5 a.m. yesterday, went to work, drove to your show, did commentary, drove home, slept for a couple hours, woke up 5:30 a.m. for a podcast, went back to sleep.
Welcome. You're welcome.
Went and worked at the Aces game. We do some nonprofit work at the baseball games, and we'll be doing it at the football games and the college basketball games coming up here. So the point setters, it's the backwards writing because I don't have my camera turned backwards and inside out or whatever I need to do.
That's crazy. I'm seeing it the right way.
Okay, so maybe it's all good then.
Yeah.
Yeah, just been long, man. I just like I'm functioning on a couple hours of sleep. You look like you're functioning on a couple hours of sleep. So I'm sure I was telling my kids today when we were at the baseball game, I was like, I'm just going to be delirious today. I'm just going to be, if I say something that you're like, what is he talking about? You'll know. I'm functioning on a couple hours of sleep, and 50 years old, it doesn't work like it used to, you know?
It doesn't. It doesn't work.
I used to be able to get done with practice on a Friday night. We used to be able to go out to the club, you know, party till 4 a.m., be at practice at 6, sweating out all that alcohol and going 110 miles an hour. You know, I used to be able to do that when I was in my early 20s, but it's that's not the way it doesn't work like that anymore. You know, if I sleep wrong sometimes, I might be delirious for a couple weeks.
Definitely, you know, a lot of things, a lot of amazing reasons why I'm delirious, man. And one of the things I wanted to talk about, I'm gonna talk about it in order, because yesterday was one of the I feel the biggest professional wrestling, gross knowledge, everything for me that happened in professional wrestling. It was quite a day, and I just wanted to start out with the amazing efforts of a team and what it truly means to be a team that is working, same team, same dream. And when we open that show and I talk about the best leadoff hitters in baseball, I talk about the best, the Ricky Henderson of NorCal wrestling, of all wrestling, to be honest with you, man. There's one thing. I enjoy match one. Everyone enjoys match one. And last night, for me, watching Sergio go out there where Illumide wasn't able to make it to the event, we had talked previously about this. Everything's okay. It was totally fine. But watching the angle, what me and Sergio cooked up and what he did last night and how he did it, he made referee matches. And I was talking to matches after the show. He's 15, 16 years of age. And he said, man, I told them I didn't want to talk. And he had to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And thank God Sergio was out there and put him in an uncomfortable situation. Because if you're going to make any money in this business, you got to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Not just this, but anything you do in life, you're going to have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And seeing Johnny Alvarez come out there with that much poised confidence in this young man's career is it's something that really warms my heart when you see a student who's been around for three years. You know, he's been there since he was like 18 or 19, and it's been so inconsistent because of the ride situation to class. And finally he gets with somebody who's able to consistently get him there the last 6 months for a ride. And you see the way that works out last night, and you sit here and you go, my God, was that not, as Jim Ross would say, was that not a beautiful little piece of business? You know what I mean? What a beautiful little piece of business last night. And it's just living proof, like I tell everybody, if you don't even have to fucking wrestle, man. If you can just get the audience invested in your character, in the story you're telling, whatever that story is, guys. And there's so many times that I believe everybody, including guys that have been doing it a while, they think the story is, I'm going to work your arm and you're going to work my head. And it's like, man, that could not be furthest from the truth. So I just wanted to open up by talking about just a good little piece of business, man. Just, hey, I don't have this title here. It should be presented to me because this contract, as a matter of fact, it's such a binding contract that I'm going to have the referee read it. And now Doc Haywood, get up from the table. I'm going to have you read it to the plebs. And we are going to make this so super official that everybody knows that Sergio Santana is rightfully, due to a binding contract, an error made by the champion in a binding contract. I'm the champion, and the officials are just assholes because they should have asked for that belt. Illumide should have been a man of integrity, knowing that he wasn't going to be there. He should have handed that belt into the officials, and I should have been presented with that championship. So now what? Now is there going to be a plaque? What is Sergio going to do to stake his claim as the champion? Sergio Illumide, Inter-California Championship, and my God, I am into what's going on here because of just a simple story, a simple situation, a conflict, an error in double bookings and this and that. Now I'm interested in a story, and I give a shit about what's going to happen with this championship belt.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you what pushed it over the top. And I mentioned it on commentary because it was one of those things. It was just like, it was a little detail, but every time the contract was read, it was Sergio Santana, wrestling superstar. And I'm like, why does he keep saying that? It's obviously not in the contract like that. But then come to find out, the referee reads it, and he reads it exactly the same way, wrestling superstar. And I was like, oh shit, man, he's making the referee say it too. And then Doc goes and reads it. And then that also says Sergio Santana, wrestling superstar. But so it's just a little extra plot twist that says this character is just so into himself, self-absorbed, that he's not just going to have the contract read Sergio Santana. It's going to say Sergio Santana, wrestling superstar, right? That I'm not signing this contract unless you have my name correct. And if it doesn't say Sergio Santana, wrestling superstar, then it's not correct in my eyes, and I'm not signing it. So just to add that little twist on top, there was such a small detail that I picked up on, was just one of those things. Like, it's just, you say he's Ricky Henderson, right? And it's just, he comes out to a chorus of boos, right? His music hits, the fans start booing. He steps through the curtain, they start booing more. He starts talking on the microphone, they start booing even more. Like, it is just these levels, Yes. Each little thing is just incrementally more irritating to the fans and anyone listening to him talk on the microphone. And that was just that extra detail for me that was like, damn, man, it's just like, this is, if it wasn't irritating enough as it is, you know, this guy coming out of the curtain, this guy walking down the aisle, this guy getting on the microphone. Now it's like this extra thing. It's like, well, you can't write it in the contract unless it says wrestling superstar. So that was just like some little detail, but it means so much in my eyes to his character that's how arrogant he is and how full of himself he is. That's something that's going to be written into the contract. And as everyone reads it, they read the exact same verbiage, and it just stepped it up another notch in my eyes. So, but yeah, like you said, man, now it's this intriguing story. What truly is going to happen? What does management say about this situation? Right? Obviously, it's a binding contract. So what comes of it? You know. So and then it's like you have to come back and find out, right? Because you can't miss the next show because you need to know what happened. So the little cliffhangers reminds me back to when I watched wrestling as a kid, right? You know, when it was, oh, we're out of time for this week, folks. You know, we'll tell you what happens at the end of this match. You know, it just reminds me of those times where now you have something that you're invested in when you go, shit, okay, what's going to happen? I have to be here next time to find out, you know? So building that type of thing into your storytelling is just incredible. So, kudos to you guys for putting that together. It was just one of those, it's just an extra thing that hooked me in that said, okay, I got to be here next time, you know? And hopefully the fans are thinking the same way.
Well, it's like Ted DiBiase when he used to bring him on stage. You can bounce this basketball for 10 minutes. Oh,
right.
For 10 bounces, and he kicks the ball away, or Virgil, I need this whole pool to myself.
Right.
And the kids have to sit outside on a hot summer day and watch DiBiase stretched out in his little dunce catching some rays at the pool. So it's in the details, man, and the story is so important, and that's what I feel we're doing really well right now. Is we're telling good stories, and they have a lot of depth, and the audience gets into the character because we talk about it all the time. A wrestling show is just a wrestling show. What are you putting on a wrestling show for? If you have nothing to present to a wrestling show but just wrestling, I mean, what's going on here? There's a time and a place. There is a time and a place for that big match. What's going on with me and Sin right now? God, I know where it's going. I know when it's time to take the risk. And the risk is going to be okay because there will be reward. There will be reward in the payoff with the fans. There will be reward in the ticket sales and everything else that comes with it. So it's just, I'm really, just like over on your end at the RWF, I'm really fulfilled. I'm really fulfilled, as much as that sounds right now, being able to work with, my guys and let them express everything that they want and what, do you like this? What are your ideas? And it's great collaborating with you and working with you to help with ideas over there. And then we get to another section of the show. And we continue with this entertainment aspect, right? And it was the funniest thing that I've ever seen in my life. And I don't know if you heard, but it's like, so I've been telling you, I'm going to get that 4-woman lap dance in that ring. I said, we're going to do this. Now, let's not even talk about the match itself, because we didn't even need the match, right?
Right.
We did not need the match. We could have booked all 4 of these gentlemen, and they could have just done that lap dance, and they could have held hands and walked off together, or left with the MILFs, and everything would have been good. But a 4-person lap dance, I said, can I pull this off? Can we pull this off? Me and you've been talking for a while about it. And what I thought was funny about it is we're sitting there, and the first 2 ladies come in, the first 2 MILFs come in to sit in the chairs, and I hear, oh man, that's Buck's mom. And I'm like, oh shit, this is great. So then somebody starts laughing, and it's the arsonist, right? And then next thing you know, he's laughing about this. And I even heard him say, yeah, that one of those women are Buck's mom. And then here comes another lady dancing up, and he says, "What the fuck? No." And I go, "What?" And he goes, "Now that's my mom, right?" So now we got Buck James's mom in the ring, about to get danced all over by Dreamy Drew and MILF Hunter. And now Malcolm Flex Daddy, and the Hoochie Daddy are in the ring. And here comes the arsonist's mom. And he's got to watch this. And then the arsonist's partner, Don Stockton, starts laughing because now his mom's in the ring and Buck's mom's in the ring. And then somebody goes, "Oh, shit, no, Don." And the last person to get in the ring was Don Stockton's new girlfriend. So now we got Buck's mom, Arsonist's mom. And this thing went extra long. I mean, jackets. I think the highlight of it for me and the pop backstage was all this is going on. And you're like, is this really happening? And then lo and behold, Flex just, woo!
The pants come off. Yeah, that was
and those cameras are right there.
Oh, dude, that was definitely the reaction of the night, because you have no idea what's underneath those pants, and then when you see it, it's like, oh shit, it's a scantily clad man, and just the reaction on the ladies' faces, it was priceless. So like you said, we didn't need a match after that. All we needed was that was the climax right there. And
exactly.
then obviously then he starts dancing, and he's got he's doing like push up. He's got his like legs up on the lady's shoulders. It reminded me I thought it was going into the Jerry Gigolo spot. I thought it was going to be he was going to be teabagging the lady's face or something.
Oh my god! In the tape.
Yeah. She's going to get a taste.
He'd be perfect, right?
Oh,
Jerry'd be perfect for one of those dances.
Yeah. So,
and how many though? Like when I mean, you can do any amount of things with any wrestler. Here comes MILF Hunter, right? He's going to dance around. He's going to bring ladies in the ring. And here comes the champ, Bad News Blakesley. What happens if a 500-pound guy is like, "No, I want to give her the lap dance"? Like, right. You name the persona, you name the character. You just found something that this guy can do, which he does well, I believe. Like the microphone, he's really good at working the audience too, man. And it's like,
right.
You've found another thing that you can add to your show to add the depth. It doesn't have to be seven 30-minute matches of unbelievable AEW madness. Oh, and by the way, 5 of our top stars are injured because of the style that they've been wrestling for many years and currently. And it's like, do we really have to do an injury angle on television for every injury that really happens to these poor fucking gymnasts? You know what I mean? Like,
right, exactly.
How about we just say the guy's fucking hurt? He's been working 10 years and landed on his fucking head and the back of his neck on the concrete. And he's going to need some surgery. We don't need to put him on TV and have a fake fucking angle on TV, because we've already seen the motherfucker do 30 moves the week before that were worse than what put him on the stretcher, right? You can't have a stretcher angle in AEW when there's no fucking point to have a stretcher angle, because the match itself they're impervious to pain. It's a fucking video game for real, Paul. For reals. So I thought that I just wanted your take on it. Like that'd be great if Doc got in there. That would be great if you got in there, Josh Reynolds. That'd be great to get the ring announcer in there. You know what I mean? Vice versa, guys on your shows, man. Have some fun. Take some chances. It's about. That's what I was telling everybody. A lot of people. This was the first show since I've gone through a lot of changes in my life where everybody was just so uptight and anal about fucking their performance. And I said, hey man, you got to take some chances. We got to fail, right? Like we got to fail and make mistakes. If we're not failing and making mistakes out there, we're not going to get any better.
Exactly.
You talk about it all the time with the basketball and everything else. It's like, if we've never been to a championship game, how do we might get our fucking asses handed to us by the top team that's used to being in the championship game. And then maybe we come back the next year and it's closer. And then maybe we come back the next year and we finally win that championship and we go on a run of winning championships, because you don't know what it's like to be in the main event until you're in the main event. So you can never be a main event wrestler until we just throw your ass out that main event and give you a shot. Fuck up, make some mistakes, guys, have some fun. You'll only get better.
And I think the biggest compliment that you can give Milfy and Drew is that they're not afraid to go out there and look like, I don't want to say look foolish, but to take that chance, right? You have two guys that are visibly not in the greatest shape. But I was talking to Larry on the way up there, and it's like the thing that makes that gimmick, and is going to continue to make that gimmick watchable and exciting, and make people want to go, I wonder what's going to happen next, is as these guys continue to up that character with the mindset that they look like Ravishing Rick Rude. In their mind, they look like Ravishing Rick Rude. They realistically think they could get any girl in the crowd, right? They would be confused if they didn't have these ladies raising their hands and wanting to come in the ring and get a lap dance, right? Because they think that's what they look like. They think, oh, we're desirable to all these women. That's why they're coming into the ring, right? So with that, perception of your own character, when you play the character like that, that's what really gets the reaction, right? Because people are physically seeing them, and then their perception of themselves is, we are very, very desirable, right? These girls are going to want to come in the ring, right? We are going to have to set a limit on how many girls we can bring in the ring, because there's going to be so many of them that are raising their hand, so when it gets to that level, then you kind of know, like, all right, we're hitting the nail on the head, right? This gimmick is doing what it's supposed to be doing, and you can start seeing it building that type of steam right now. The first time it was like, oh, you had, a girl, a couple girls kind of, maybe I'll do it. I'll volunteer. I'll put myself out there, and, to now have four girls raising their hand to get in there, it's like, okay, it's catching some steam, and who knows where it's going to go from here, but it's exciting to kind of see that as it's developing, and as it's getting bigger. So, if those guys are watching, that should be the mindset, right? You look like Ravishing Rick Rude. There's no reason that these girls would not want to come in the ring, and that's the mindset that you have to be in, and that's the character that you are trying to portray.
Well, you're 100% right. But we can't, and it happens too. I noticed last night they were saying, I think they might be rushing this to get to the match. You know what I mean? Like,
I can see that.
They might be moving a little quickly through this, trying to get more time to perform as the wrestling match itself. And it's like, best advice I'm going to give anybody out there, okay? Best advice I'm going to give anybody. Don't worry about the lockup. Don't worry about the headlock, the tackle, the heat, the comeback. Don't worry about that stuff. That's coming. You can do all that stuff every week, and that can be what you practice. And I had 4 bookings this weekend, and I wrestled 4 matches, and I want some time. That's cool, man. If you want to be the guy that goes in the ring and you think that the matches that you're having at these different shows is what's going to elevate you to what your dream that you watch on television is, absolutely not. That is not what's going to get you there. Nobody is going to watch you wrestling weekend after weekend at these shows and be like, that guy is such an amazing technician in the ring. Let's push him to Daniel Bryan. Well, I can't say CM Punk because he's good on the mic. Let's push him to Daniel Bryan, Chris Benoit, fucking whatever level, man. Eddie Guerrero was very entertaining. So was Kurt Angle. But there's very few mechanics, and that's what I call them. There's very few mechanics in pro wrestling. Benoit's one of them. but they presented him as the rabid Wolverine. You know what I mean? There's very few. Brock Lesnar is actually funny when he talks. He had Paul Heyman out there for him, but there's very few guys in pro wrestling. You know, you're Bret Hart, but I thought Bret was funny when he talked too, and the way he looked in his gear and everything. But I mean, I keep saying this and I keep going back and talking about these mechanics that actually had size and body and a look to them. But there's very few guys there. I mean, can you name one? Can you name somebody since the dawn of Hulk Hogan in '85 that because of no mic skill, no flash, no sizzle, no gimmick, no gear, no nothing, no physique? Can you just name one person that made it to the top of the industry with just, I'm gonna get in the ring and that's it, I'm gonna just wrestle?
Not that I can think of. Yeah, because I mean, all the guys you kind of talked about kind of have a lot of the kind of the total package. But I was thinking about the opposite end of the spectrum. You know, you think about guys that you know, can play a gimmick for a long, long time. And I think you think about, like, I've heard people reference Honky Tonk Man. Oh, I just want to get to Honky Tonk Man status where I can just shake, rattle, and roll, you know? And it's like, those guys have that opportunity, right? They can do that stuff. They can do a lot of gimmick stuff, and they don't have to be super stellar technically as far as the wrestling portion of it. So, but you know how it is, man. It's like you and I are both the same way. It's like, I want to get out there and show my athleticism, or I want to show what I can do in the ring, or I want to show that I can tell a story in the wrestling match. It's like, well, you have to kind of look at yourself in the mirror and say, what are my strong suits? You know, is my strong suit my wrestling, you know, in ring stuff, or is my strong suit the gimmick, talking on the mic, you know, getting people in a frenzy, right? And just the things that they do with the lap dance and stuff like that. And, you know, and I think Sergio Santana fits in that category. It's like, the guy is great on the microphone. He's getting under people's skin, you know, and you might look at, you know, maybe you don't think he's a stellar worker, but he's got all these other qualities that are over the top that he really, really utilizes to get over, right? And so I think you have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, what qualities do I have? What are my strong suits? And let's take advantage of those things. You know, what do I do well? What can I do to entertain? That's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to entertain people. You know, what is my best way to do that? Is the best way for me to entertain people to go out there and you know, have a 5-star match, or is the best way for me to entertain people to go out there and showcase my gimmick and what I can do from that aspect? So, you know, it's just one of those things. You have to kind of see, like,
you can do both.
Well, I know you can do both, but most people are not going to be great at both. Yeah.
Yeah, but what I mean by both is like John Cena versus, we talked about today, Kurt Angle, or John Cena versus fucking Shawn Michaels. You know what I mean? Like John Cena can pull off this entertainment and the rap character and everything else, but if he's in there with the right guy, he can accommodate that. Like that's the thing about the training, right? Me and you always talk about this, and for everybody out there is, yeah, you're training with Oliver John, you're training with Primetime, you're training with Paul, you're training with Ugly, you're training with all these guys. If you can just understand, like you said, your limits. Okay, I can do the headlock. I can do the headlock takeover. I can do a good rise up. I can do a good tackle. That maybe I'm not going to be the best mat wrestler of all time, but I can accommodate the work on this basic series of moves. Like I can work the arm, and I know how to give the arm back to you if that's what we're telling tonight. I can run the ropes. I can hit the corners. I can go over the top if you need me to. Like, are you a good little worker? And I think we get it confused sometimes where we're like, well, we got to hit the hardest. No, your hits just got to be passable. You got to make the noise. It's got to be in the pocket. It's got to, because the illusion's there. It's like I was telling everybody last night, like, And we were talking about this when I was coming off of a couple matches at your show. I'm sitting here, and the way it feels to me, I'm feeling like it's the worst thing in the world. And then the fans are coming up to me going, "Oh, that was great, man. Great match. Love the way you talking shit to the crowd. You know, it was good." And then you watch it, and you're like, "Oh, it wasn't that bad. Wasn't bad at all." It just didn't feel good to me. So because I didn't feel like this thing should have been, I was wrestling Bret the Hitman Hart in a 30-minute class because it didn't feel that comfortable to me. And that's what makes the performer, right? Like sometimes I feel afterwards that when I bitch to you about something, which I've really had to slow it down, I feel like, well, you've been doing it 26 years. You talk about being a professional. Go be a fucking professional, Zach. You know, here we are 26 years later, and I'm still bitching. I still make mistakes, and I'm still bitching about shit. And I'm like, it's like, Larry Cabral said it to me when he came up and said 20 minutes before that last show, and he said, "Hey, this is going to be your ref." And he said, I've seen the growth in you in the last year. He said, at first you got mad and you were offended and you were like, no, this is not going to happen. And then he said, I literally watched you step back, take a deep breath, and then say, okay, we'll make this work. And that's my job, right? That's my job. Whether I'm getting paid to fucking live in a mansion or I'm just there as a volunteer, I've agreed to show up. I've agreed to help out. And my job as a coach, my job as a trainer, my job as a veteran wrestler trying to make this area better is if you're asking me to make something work with a young talent that maybe you don't have any other option, the last thing I should do is approach an already bad situation with negativity. And I'm glad that moment happened. And I'm glad I got to step back and take a deep breath and come back in. And because I remember you walked through the curtain and you looked at me and I was like, absolutely not. What the heck is going? What the fuck is going? And then you were like, what? And I was like, and then I just sat there and I thought about it for a minute. I think I went over to like Jerry, and I said, what do you think? And he's like, he said something to me that was it was so basic that it made me shut my fucking mouth and do it. He goes, hell, I wrestle at shows every week and they just throw some fucking guy in there in a t-shirt and he counts the 1, 2, 3. Who gives a shit, right? I get what you're saying, but who gives a shit, right? And I go, yeah, no, thanks, Jerry, because I needed you to say those exact words to me. Quit being a bitch, Zach. This isn't the heaven of wrestling in the WWE, and you don't have fucking 50 fucking hungry referees, quality referees back here from 25 different fucking countries. Get out there and do what you say you can do. Help these young guys to get better so they can learn. And that was a humbling moment for me. And every weekend's a humbling moment for me when we go to these shows, man. And they're great because I look out in the parking lot and I just keep seeing these. It's like a dream because you're like, oh, it's 3 o'clock. And then you look out there and someone new shows up. And then it's 5 o'clock and I look out there and I'm, help, there's Big Paul. And you show up and it's like this crazy dream wrestling is because you get to see all these people that you just want to be around and see just, hey, what's Big Paul doing in Red Bluff at 5 o'clock? Oh, because he's at the show. And what's Zack Primetime Reeb going to be doing in fucking Sparks and Yerington? Because it's going to be at the show, and you don't know when we're going to show up, and you don't know how much fun we're going to have, man. But I just wanted to say that, like, we're not perfect either, but that was so good. I was glad Jerry said it to me the way he did. I'm glad you looked at me the way you did. I'm glad I was able to take a deep breath the way I did. And I'm glad I was able to just realize at that moment, like, dude, get the fuck over yourself. Fucking, this is the situation. Shut the fuck up. Get positive. And you sit here on this fucking show and everywhere you go and talk about what you can do. And now you're talking about why you can't do it. Fucking Zach. Fucking pussy. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what it comes down to, man. We portray ourselves as being these pro guys that can handle any situation that's thrown at them, right? Oh, we're gonna call this match on the fly. We could fill in if we needed to. Somebody gets hurt, we could jump in there and fill a spot. Call a match on the fly, whatever it is. We can adapt, right? That's a strength that we have. We can adapt to situations. We can make the best out of things. So it was one of those things where I was just like, I didn't know how serious you were being. Like, are you going to be able to figure this out, or do we need to make some sort of change here? So I'm glad that it went the way that it did, and I'm glad. You always say about different people, like, these people don't know what they don't know, until they find out what they don't know, right? It's those situations, and it's like, at some point, you come across this in job markets. It's like, oh, well, we need somebody who's got more training than you. It's like, well, how am I going to get more training if I don't get an opportunity to do it for the first time? Like, how do I get experience if nobody's going to let me do this because I don't have experience at it? So, and it's those situations where it's like, you think about businesses that give someone that first opportunity and they flourish, and you go, you know what was the point that caused all this stuff to happen? Was this little pivot point, right? This is what kind of tilted it over the top, got this guy going with some momentum, got him going in the right direction. Here's what helped this person become successful. It was this opportunity that they got before they had any opportunities, right? This is how they started gaining some experience where they had none. So, being around and getting to see those things happen in real time, obviously, is really cool to see that stuff. So, I'm excited that happened, and now it's, you have a referee who's now more enthusiastic about it and is more hungry to learn, and just wants to be there, right? Asking questions and things like that. So you get this first experience where you go, oh, what could I have done better? And you can watch it back and go, oh, here's the mistakes that I made. Here's some suggestions that people made, things like that, right? So, and really, realistically, that's really the only way that we can get that. I'm talking to Larry both directions yesterday, and he goes, I know I'm not a great referee yet, right? And there's a magic word in there. There's yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
The power of yet. I know I'm not a great referee yet, but I know what it's going to take to become a great referee, and that's repetitions. That's practice. That's experience. And it's like, yeah, you're exactly right. You're not just going to walk in there and it's just going to come to you like, out of a dream. All of a sudden, you're going to be great at this, right? It's going to take repetition. It's going to take experience. You're going to have to get in there. You're going to have to grind at this for a little bit to become a good whatever. Wrestler, referee, commentator. I'm coming into that realization for myself. I'm sitting at the commentary table and going, I'm not very good at this. I need to get better. What do I need to do to get better?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I need repetitions. I need to practice. I need to do this, right? I need experience. So, I fall into the same category in commentary. So, and obviously at your shows, we've got Josh that's learning how to do it. And we're trying to figure out the dynamic. How do we fit together? Right. So, this is a learning experience, and getting those opportunities is the way that we're going to get better at this.
Well, that's what you just said right there. What you just said, Paul, is what he said, man. We have to get better. It's not, we're going to look, no one's going to remember, unless it was like a major moment. I don't remember what happened last week on Monday Night Raw, and that's national television for the biggest wrestling promotion in the world. You know what I mean? I'd love to say that I'm sitting here amped up, ready to watch All In at 3:00 on Saturday and WrestlePalooza following that. Just 9-10 hours of fucking jerk off mark wrestling action, right? Which I'm glad a lot of people are, but I'm just saying I'd like to say that I'm excited about relaxing Saturday and doing that. But I will be in Sparks, Nevada at the fundraising event, Press Slam, and I'll be working there, and I'll be helping young guys get better. And I'm excited about that. And that's the thing where we talk about this. Larry said, yet. You talked about commentary, Josh Reynolds. And he always tells me, and I love that guy, man. I love that guy. His wife, his daughter, his son, just so blessed to have them as a part of this company. They work just tirelessly. Manny Roa's Angel Santillan worked tirelessly. Michelle Reno tirelessly. You know what I mean? Doc Haywood, Lady Haywood doesn't get enough credit, you know. And these are all people that a lot of people, unless you go to our show, you'd have no fucking clue who I'm talking about, right? But these people and these teammates, we the people of Pro Championship Wrestling and the RWF and independent wrestling, these are the people that make this thing go, because without them, this doesn't go. Gotta have. I love. We always say it. We're like, well, if you don't have the wrestler, you don't have no one to market in the performance. Yeah, who gives a shit if you don't have the production, if you don't have the camera, if you don't have the guy behind the scenes, if you don't have the concession stand, if you don't have someone work, if you don't have someone over there reliable to work the ticket in the cash box, you're gonna get robbed. You ain't gonna pay Peter. You ain't gonna steal from Peter to pay Paul. You know what I mean? You're going to just get straight up robbed. People coming in your show, losing out on money. And you have these amazing people around that keep everything together. And we say it all the time. Know your place on the card. Know your role in this company. And that's one of the greatest catchphrases, right? Know your role and shut your mouth. You know what I mean? Know your role and shut your hole. But there's just so many amazing people that go into this, and every weekend we just sit here and we focus so much on, like I was telling someone, it was like right before the show, there was like all 4 or 5 security guards. I had finally moved my chair over and got to sit down to put some shit, my boots and all that on, and the doors are about to open, and they're just like smothering me in this space I moved over to. And I go, what are you guys doing? Get the fuck out there. Like, why are you backstage? Why are you walking through the curtain where the wrestlers are going to be coming? What are you doing? Like, I want to do a seminar with zero wrestling, just on proper etiquette and what the fuck, this is how the business is supposed to be. Shake everyone's hands, stay out of the fucking way. If you're a security guard, your job starts the second you get in the building, because that's where a potential customer that should not be coming in there might be coming in there. And that's the thing. Zack's my friend. I just came in to say hi to him. No, you don't get to walk into my work and just say hi to me. That's funny, right? Like, imagine even if you work at Target and your buddy comes in to say hi to you, you're like, yo, what's up, man? I got to get back to work here. Could you imagine standing in a busy line at the bank or at the grocery store, and your buddy decides that he's just going to hold up the line to have a conversation with you? People would be pissed, man. That would incite a riot. So it's like, man, you gotta respect what we're doing here. Respect what we're doing here as a show. I get the whole girlfriends thing. This is my girlfriend. She brought me to the show. Cool. Do you really support your boyfriend? Because if you do, buy a fucking ticket. And I'm always a nice guy about it, but it's like, buy a ticket. Oh, you're my friend? Buy a ticket. And if you ain't going to buy a ticket, do something that's going to help out. Run the raffle. You know what I mean? Go buy some food from the snack bar. Do something to help my company out, because what do you want? You want something for free from me while I'm out here trying to pay all this money to run a show? It's like, man, we need support, man. But I'd love to run, a seminar to say, hey, man, there's more to this than even back here behind that curtain. It's out here before you fucking pay your ticket to walk in this building, or you show up as a student, man. Like, that's what I'm really enjoying right now, is I actually have a lot of students that are showing up and working security and setting up the ring and staying to the end to break down. And that's what I noticed. And I'm going, I think this kid that's working his ass off twice a week and setting up rings, breaking it down, showing up here and there, paying his dues, I'm more inclined 99.9%, almost 100%, to use this guy, give this guy an opportunity in a time slot, other than someone else who I can't make it or I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Like, that's why you got to have your own talent.
Right. Well, and I think it's so underestimated, or people don't understand about that stuff. I was, as you're talking, and I think I had thought about this before. Anytime you have one of these charity shows, you always think about that. How many people are going to walk in with their girlfriend, or how many people are going to go, "Hey, can you hook me up?" or whatever? It's like, no, I can't fucking hook you up, man. All of the money is going to this, where we're raising funds, man. This is a fucking charity. That was always my thing. Like, I could not believe that. And it's probably because you don't tell people this. It's like, you think it's common sense, but you got people coming in. It's like, well, we're donating all this money to whatever this place is that we're donating it to. So if you don't pay for a ticket, that's $5, $10, $15, $20, whatever dollars you're charging for a ticket. It's like, that's money that they're losing out on that we could have given to them. Don't look at this as, oh, I got to come here and spend money. It's like, dude, this is a charity fundraiser. We're trying to raise money. That's the whole goal here. How many people are you going to have that are like that? Hey, so it's just my girlfriend. It's like, yeah, well, doesn't she want to contribute? This is a fundraiser. Like, perfect. If you want to come in, this is how much it costs, right? And you don't want to be a dick about things, but at the same time, it's like, at some point, I've definitely heard the promoters doing that type of stuff. They'll be very frank with everyone. It's like, hey, listen, guys, maybe there's not a lot of room in the venue. Whatever it is, there's only this many chairs. I know that you were doing that with prospects, right? It's like, hey, there's only this many chairs. We can't have, your buddy who's trains at your school is coming to watch, right? And is going to be standing around, walking around the locker room, whatever. We don't have room for that. So if your buddy wants to come, they can buy a ticket and sit in the crowd, right? And that's the same thing that I think about. Like, if you are letting someone in for free, it's like, don't fucking sit in the front row, man. Leave those seats for people that are paying to come see the show, right? Don't sit anywhere close. Stand up, whatever it is. Like, I'm giving you the opportunity to be here for free, so don't take a chair from a paying customer. So I think those are those things. And yeah, I think it's, people don't quite understand the value of all the things that go into running a wrestling show. Larry and I were talking about that on the trip, right? It's like, some people don't understand the effort and time that it takes to put together a ring, to break a ring down, to transport a ring, all these different things. People think, oh, well, you own a ring, you can just bring it. It's like, well, yeah, I own a ring and I can just bring it, but it takes time to break it down from where it's at, set it up where it needs to go, break it down where it's at, bring it back to where it needs to be, set it back up, all these different things. Like, all those things are time consuming, labor intensive items that people don't take into consideration, and I think it's, I've definitely had those people that are like, oh, looking to rent your ring. It's like, oh, well, it's going to be this much. So, well, I don't want to buy it. It's like, well, there's a lot of things that go into it, right? It's like, oh, well, I want to move from my house to the new house that I bought. I'm just going to use this trailer at U-Haul. It's like, oh, well, they're going to charge me $1 a mile or whatever it is. It's like, yeah, because that's their property. You're using it. You don't own a truck. If you owned a truck, then yeah, this would be an easy thing for you to do, right? You could move all your shit, no problem. But you don't own a truck, so you're going to borrow one from someone that does own one, and you're going to pay them for that privilege of using that truck, and this is how they get their money out of you, right? They're going to charge you $1 every mile you travel in their truck, right? That's how they get their compensation for allowing you to use their $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 vehicle, right?
Well, how many times do you go to a fast food restaurant and you go, God damn it cost me $22 for 2 hamburgers. And then what are you doing? You're over here eating the hamburgers, right?
Right. That you didn't have to cook, right?
You didn't have to pay for it, right?
Yeah. I didn't have
But
to
you
buy the
did.
materials. Yeah. Right.
But you did. And now you're complaining about it as it's going down your throat.
Right.
And no, it's the worst thing in the world. If you're somebody going to a charity show asking for a free ticket to go to the event and you are okay taking that ticket, you know, I have to explain to people, like with Limelight, they go, hey, can I get some tickets? And I'm like, yeah, here's the price. They're like, oh, well, you know, can I get them? And I go, if I give you 5 tickets, that's 5 seats that this was going to be this ticket, $750 to them, $750 to me. We split the tickets. They get the concession. I don't give a shit. You know, if you buy something for food, good, because it goes to them. But if I give you 5 tickets, you take $7, and even if I give you the ticket and I don't care, you take $7.50 and times that by 5, and the free ticket I'm giving you, that's what I have to hand over to the Tri-Counties Community Center, the youth center because that's what as a man, that's what I've said. I'm here to help you raise funds. So we've agreed to split tickets, and I give you the concession, and we get to do this show and film this and have another cool venue to do this at. So, oh, you're cool with me having to come $60 out of my pocket to accommodate? That's you know, you're a pile of shit. That's the truth. Like, whether I like you or not, I got a lot of people that I like that I think are piles of shit and do piece of shit maneuvers, man. I do. Always have. You know, they can't help it. You can't help that you're a piece of shit. You really can't. Like, that's just something that you wake up in the morning and you're like, what can I get for free? Just like the U-Haul thing you're talking about. Can I get wrestling knowledge that's, you know, can I get cheaper training? I remember at the Living the Dream contest, the one kid, I was like, hey, you know, he never came back. He said it was going to cost too much to Uber to the thing. He needed to find something closer and cheaper. And as soon as he said he didn't have a vehicle, Uber to practice, I was like, well, you'll never make it asking for rides anyways. And something closer and cheaper. Like the worst word, one of those, something closer is the worst word you could hear. Something cheaper is another one. But to hear those two put together in the same sentence when you don't have a fucking vehicle makes me just go, whoo, well, I'm dodging a bullet here. Let's sever this tie right now and I'll be okay. And the sad part is there's somebody in the area that's clamoring to pick that person up. Somebody that wants to closer because he's closer and because they can offer him free or cheaper. And there's somebody just clamoring. You know, today a couple students came in and I called them outside. I said, hey, you got your dues? He said, no, not yet. I'm working on it. I said, cool, come over here. You know, I had Spark on the phone with me. Spark was like, you handled that perfectly. And then I had said something about bringing outside guests into training and to the people too. And then they brought the outside guest in. And I said, hey, didn't I tell you not to bring that person? And he almost had like an excuse for it. And I said, well, okay. I said, are those the shoes you're running in? Because, I mean, this is a little over a mile run. Get to step in both of you. You know what I mean? And I said it nicely. And that was it. We're not going to talk about this anymore. You didn't have your dues and you feel like you want to train today because you showed up. You're working on it. Okay. Yeah, it's going to go a lot further. Go sell some lemonade. If you're doing nothing with your day, go set up a lemonade stand at your apartments. Go fucking pick up some cans and some bottles. Go sit on the corner of the fucking street and beg for a couple dollars. You know what I mean? Like, do something. Make a fucking effort. Don't show up here. You know, so if you ain't going to make an effort or you ain't going to listen to me, to the pavement, get running, motherfucker. At least the least I can do is get your asses in shape. And they did it and they didn't complain. And Sparky was just like, man, you handled that very well. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to yell at somebody. Why the fuck am I going to yell at somebody? Why am I going to waste my time screaming at somebody and getting myself upset when I can just tell them the same shit? and then I will make that run. If that run doesn't smarten you up coming off the couch, eating potato chips and having to run that mile covered in sweat before you train, but you're a moron. You know what I mean? But, they did it. And the thing I'm going to do before I throw it over to you is tell everybody here. 5 minutes remain in this very tired podcast. 5 minutes remain.
Well, I mean, you talk about closer and cheaper, and it's, unfortunately, you think about the proximity of wrestling training, and I tell everyone that will listen the same thing, that I was very naive to the fact that I had a wrestling training school that was in Reno, close to where I live, right? That it was very easy for me to get to training, and it was no problem at all. But I just remember when I would go to SPW and go, all these people that train here, they must live in Sacramento. And then the truth coming out and going, some of these guys are coming from, Modesto or Stockton or Fresno or all these different places. And I'm like, well, shit, man, these guys are coming hours to train, each direction several times a week, and then obviously when I talked to Larry, he's like, well, I used to drive to Yuba City twice a week, from Yarrington. It's like, because that was the closest place that I could go. So, I often talk about, like, if you really want to do this, then, there should be no excuses. There should be no, it's way out there on the outskirts of town. Like, if it was in the center of town, I'd come. It's like, bullshit. You wouldn't come wherever, right? You're just making excuses right now. If it was cheaper, I'd come. So no, you wouldn't. If you really want to be a pro wrestler, you figure it out. Like, I talk about going on my lunch break from work to try to get an extra 45 minutes of training in a couple times a week. It's those things like that you go, those are the reasons that you are not going to become a professional wrestler, because you don't have the drive to make it happen, right? If this is truly your dream, then you should do anything in your power to make this dream become a reality. So when I tell people that, in 15 years, conservatively, 250 people have come through the doors, and a dozen or 2 dozen or so have made it. The odds of you making and getting to the point where you've had one professional wrestling match are slim and none. And it's all about how driven are you? How badly do you want this? You could talk about the facility, or if the ring was nicer, if it looked prettier in there. I was telling Larry, I said, my experience with going to a training school was that old school gym feel, right? Where it's like the iron weights and it's dark in there, it stinks, it smells like sweaty guys. It's not the nice, high-end gym with the pretty ring with the brand new canvas and, freshly painted steel. That's not the situation you're going to walk into. You're naive to think that. So, I think about those situations. Do these people really want to do this, or are they just pretending, right? Does it sound like a good idea? Does it sound like a fun thing? I think that'd be fun to be a pro wrestler. It's like, you're not really driven to be a pro wrestler. So, so I don't know, man. That's just cheaper and closer.
Rick found a way from Antioch, California to Loma Rica, California with no phone reception, blind, to do this thing. Did I know he wanted it? Yes, of course I did. I looked outside yesterday as we closed this thing out, and I just saw Haywood's kid and Milf's daughter and all these wrestlers' kids and stuff performing the moves and wrestling in the grass over on the side of the building, about 12 or 15 of them. And I looked over at Chico Lopez and I said, I'm not worried about what all these other schools are worried about with students, because that's the future of PCW right there. Those kids aren't going to grow up here in the next 4 or 5 years and go, what's the best wrestling school for me to go to do this? They've grown up on PCW. Second, third generation men and women, young men and women are about to be. I know what my next load of students are coming through, and they're already someone's kids, cousins, daughter. You know what I mean? Like, I'm excited about it, man. Paul, here we go. First week down, 7 more to go. Do you want it? This is the Going Over podcast. Zack Primetime Reeb, Paul Isadora. We're going over, motherfuckers. Please subscribe. Hit that fucking button.